For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the insurrection. I'm Michael Albert. This is Derek Evans. It's another glorious day in America's new golden age, and we've got a lot to discuss.
Yes, we do, Mike. Hey, guys, as always, thank you guys. Like, share, subscribe, all those good things. If you're watching live, hop in the comments. I read all the comments. I'll do my very best to give you guys a shout out. Kind of like this. We've already got Thaddeus and Casey over here in the X chat. We've got Kelly Song in the Rumble chat, and we got some people popping off in the Getter chat we'll get to in a little bit. We have an awesome show lined up for you guys here today.
Yes. Well, Liberation Day has come and gone, and I've noticed something kind of interesting. The gnashing and wailing from our mainstream media is there, but even they've had to admit some of these tariffs already have brought in. They've already been a success. We've already reduced tariffs with a number of countries, and exclusive JD Vance on Liberation Day tariffs. First time in decades, we have an American president saying no more to the U.S. being the world's piggy bank. And I really think that's the bottom line. We discussed this ad nauseum. You've heard this from probably everybody else you listen to as well. But I can't believe we went for this long, having this many countries tariffing our products, taxing us, and protecting their own interests, and we did nothing about it. We were a free trade zone for the world, essentially. And this is already causing many nations to reconsider what they've been doing to us for decades.
Absolutely. Shout out to Dan Dreyer in the Rumble chat, FG in the Getter chat, and then in the X chat we got Smash and Gorilla. And Gorilla, yes, you can borrow some eggs anytime. So I'm with you, man. It's like, it's so frustrating that anyone could even be opposed to this. I really don't understand the rationale as to why someone would be opposed to fair trade, basically, is what this is. That's what it is. We did have free trade, aka people could trade freely with the United States and freely take advantage of us. Now we're going to have fair trade where things are even. It's just reciprocal tariffs, mind you. It's not like I want it to go farther, for the record. I'm over here saying, like, we have the world's largest economy, and if people want access to that, they can pay for that via tariffs or bring their jobs here, and that's how we will eliminate the federal income tax eventually. But right now, it's just the first step, which is reciprocal tariffs. I'm one of those people that I was shocked, even as much as we all follow politics. I just assumed that the tariffs were all reciprocal. I just thought that was a starting point. Oh, you're going to charge me 20%? Cool, I'm charging you 20%. I just thought that's the way. I could not believe that this entire time there were places that were charging us 70 to 80%. Some of these little dirtbag countries were, and we're charging them 3%. That was unbelievable to me that we've been doing that this entire time. It's just common sense at the end of the day, and that is lacking very much in Washington, D.C., and that's probably why a lot of liberal heads are exploding, because they themselves don't have common sense either.
Agreed. I've seen a few stories out there where they're disputing some of the numbers that Trump had up on his chart. I'm going to play a video from the press conference here in a second. And again, it sounds like a few of these were slightly exaggerated, but what the charts were there to illustrate wasn't just the tariffs, it's the other taxes, fees, and other taxes that are levied against our country for trading in specific goods. And then it's also the barriers to trade. They were trying to take that into account in the numbers from U.S. products from many other countries. But yeah, this is getting us back to something more realistic where we're not going to be the world's piggy bank. So yeah, let me go ahead and just play this clip here real quick, and then we've got a few more headlines to discuss.
So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we never charge anybody anything, but now we're going to charge. European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You think of European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic. 39%. We're going to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei, of one of the great companies of the world, actually, they're coming in from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart in doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office, right over there, right behind the Resolute desk or whichever desk they.
Yeah, he's exactly right. With some of these nations, I really don't blame them. If we weren't going to do anything about it, they may as well take the advantage. Winning. Trump's reciprocal tariffs trigger global response. Multiple nations slash import duties on U.S. goods. And again, this is exactly what the game plan was from the very beginning.
It is. And once again, the left are losing their minds over this. I would argue that we're not going far enough. He's still being very generous on this. You heard we're essentially charging half when it's all said and done, as a lot of these others. And I know that they're claiming, oh, that's not exactly that, but you heard him say this is including fees and all these other things. So when you add all that up, I trust President Trump's numbers than some left-wing fact checker who usually, when you look in the fine print of the fact checking, it's off by 1% or something, or it's actually true when you add in all the fees and all that, and they just don't want to admit that. They put the headline out there. But so I trust President Trump's numbers. We're basically charging them half of what they're charging us, and so I think it's a good step in the right direction. And I believe that President Trump is really pushing the tariff thing right now because I truly believe that his long-term goal, I don't know if he's going to be successful in doing so with all the rhinos and such we have in D.C., but I believe his long-term goal is to eliminate the federal income tax altogether in America and go to a tariff-based system the way that we used to be before the greatest scam in the world, the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. So I think that's his long-term plan.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's exactly what the goal is long term. And it's also about bringing back American manufacturing, because without these tariffs, a lot of these goods, well, other countries, they can't afford to produce them in other countries. They're going to have to bring production back here. So this is good for us all the way around. I think especially as we're going into the age of AI, where you still need human hands and people with certain skill sets and knowledge to produce a lot of these things. We aren't to the point where robots can do it all. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, we're going to be have to have a universal basic income within the next 10 years. Maybe they're right, maybe they're not. I tend to think that it's going to take a lot longer than that. Even if we have artificial general intelligence, it's going to take a long time to build all the equipment, the robots, the other things that can really leverage that and take advantage of that. I know they're moving some robots out into construction and other things too. I listened to a thing last night about a company that, they're saying it's the first viable company that's going to be able to use robots and some machines to help produce houses and dramatically bring down the cost there. But even by their own admission, they can do it small scale right now, but for this to be something widespread and really economically viable, it's going to take several more years of development and production and testing to get to the point where this is a real option across the whole country. But these tariffs are a first huge step both in eliminating the income tax and bringing a lot of manufacturing back to America at a time where that is going to be key and essential over the next few years as the AI revolution continues to press forward.
Absolutely. Really quick shout out to Smash and Coma over here in the X chat. Kathy in the X chat. Kathy's asking, is this on Rumble? Yes, for anybody who's wanting to know, we're also on Rumble. Just search for X America News over on Rumble. If you have a Rumble account, head over there and hit the subscribe button. That helps us more than you could imagine as we're trying to start growing over there on Rumble as well. And then shout out to Natalie and Stacy and Kathy. Thank you guys and Chris. But look, these in the 70s, roughly, somewhere in that time frame, roughly, probably even up to the 80s, somebody could graduate high school. They could go straight into a job, a good job, work their way up or whatever, and support a family and go right into the workforce and support a family, raise a family, all those sorts of things. And then when they started this whole worldwide, the World Trade Organization, this free trade BS, and we basically essentially started subsidizing the rest of the world through our trade. We lost hundreds of thousands of good paying jobs shipped overseas only for those same products to be made of lower quality and shipped right back into our country, and we continued buying them, and we were supporting jobs in other countries. And then people wonder why young people are not able to afford to buy a home and to raise a family or have as much discretionary spending and all these sorts of things, or why, quite frankly, a lot of young people are, I believe, have felt disenfranchised from everything right now. I mean, think about it. They were not able to just step in and get a good job and just, the American dream was, if you work hard, you can support your family and raise your family and provide a good life for them. And that was stolen from so many Americans over the last few decades. And President Trump is bringing that back. When I hear "Make America Great Again" as someone who was raised in the coal mines in the coal fields of West Virginia, Eastern Kentucky, and even know a lot of people, in the Ohio area of the auto industry. When I think "Make America Great Again," I think of bringing back American manufacturing to where people can step into those good jobs and work hard and provide for their family. And I think that part of the I think this would go a long ways in helping against the drug epidemic in our country more than you could imagine. And I'm saying this as someone who lives here in an area that's been directly impacted, one of the hardest hit areas in the country from that. A lot of this, as these people are trying to turn their life around, where's their hope to do so? Where is their incentive to do so? They can't get a good job. And I'm not making excuses for it, but when you take that hope away from people and that dream away from people, they're going to become content to just kind of go do whatever. And I've seen it firsthand when these people who are in rehab, when they are able to get a good job. I don't mean McDonald's, but I mean a good job. And the Toyota plant here in West Virginia has done a good job with this. I have seen firsthand that the relapse amongst those people compared to the people who don't have good jobs is night and day difference. So, I mean, but just because they have that hope, they are now able to achieve something. They're able to provide something. They're proud to have that job and to be able to do those sorts of things. And so I think this is a much, much bigger and deeper issue than it's getting credit for right now. And sorry to go on a little bit of a rant there, but I think that's how deep this whole manufacturing thing, bringing it back, really is, and how important it is to our country.
Well, yeah, and you're exactly right, because I've seen here the opposite side of that. Unfortunately, like when GM's truck and bus plant disappeared, I mean, that was thousands and thousands of high-paid, skilled manufacturing jobs that disappeared. And once they do, you see the whole city. It's all the other industry around that too that collapses. All the support from the restaurants and the bars and other services for the employees to the other support, like logistics companies that'll move parts back and forth from warehouses. It's all the small manufacturers that make there was a company out of Cincinnati. They used to make all of some certain little spring for General Motors. They would make millions of these a year to go into their cars. But once the truck and bus plants and everything else shut down, well, they don't need that anymore. If that's that key part that kept that business afloat, maybe they have to lay off 3/4 of their staff and go down to just doing the other jobs they do. I'm well aware of a few companies like that. But I'm going to go to this next headline here real quick. 7 takeaways from Trump's reciprocal tariff rollout. This is a really good article. Check it out over there on Liberty Daily, because this really kind of breaks down a number of different things that we see from this, positive and negative. So 10% universal tariffs. This is something that will generate a huge amount of revenue for the federal government, and this seems to be like the bottom line on there. Reciprocal tariffs target countries with high trade barriers. And as you just saw in the speech, we're not even matching. I mean, I think we should be matching a lot of these, like China and other countries' tariffs, but we're even doing this at a discounted rate. And we've already seen several countries reverse their tariff policy because of this rollout, specifically Vietnam, I think it was Sweden, Israel's going to eliminating tariffs altogether, and then Taiwan is doing a massive reduction, and that's just starting overall. Now, I get like Vietnam, they're still going to have a small amount to basically, it's part of their tax system, and we're going to do the same. I think that's just fine. China faces steep tariff hike. That gets into why and how this is going to bring jobs back to the U.S. Canada and Mexico omitted from list. So we'll get more to this in a little bit, but obviously we're using that with both countries to leverage more than just the tariffs and trade. We need their cooperation with keeping our borders sealed and keeping drugs out of the country. So, maybe they'll be allowed to keep a small tariff, but the 375% tariff on milk and dairy products on the U.S. that Canada has, well, I think it's time for that to go bye-bye. Or we can tariff, I don't know, maple syrup at 500%. We'll see if they even have a country in a year. Let me scroll on down through here because a couple of these were kind of repetitive. They have a great breakdown on the role in tariffs and Trump's economic plan and economic watch indicators. Again, they say, just like Trump has said, and they've been very clear about, there may be some short-term economic pain, but there are going to be long-term gains, and this will put our country on a much more stable footing, both for tax revenue, for real fair trade with other nations, and for bringing jobs back here to America, good high-paying jobs, and bringing in foreign investment. Realize we're up to almost $5 trillion in foreign investment and new jobs in the United States, and you barely hear a word about it out of the dinosaur media.
Unbelievable, it really is. Well, quick shout out to Born to Rumble and Nat over here in the Rumble chat. Glad you guys were able to find us over there. We got Obliviously and Sean over here and the Getter chat, and then in the X chat we've got Eddie, we've got American Inc. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in. But I mean, once again, I just can't believe people would be opposed to this. I saw a post yesterday from somebody on X who is really big in the organic baby formula industry, and he was like, hey, the tariffs are going to affect me probably more than 99% of the people who are reading this post, and I still support this because it's going to be good for our country overall. I'm fine with that, and there is going to be some short-term pain here, but that is a very, very minuscule sacrifice that we can make right now for the long-term health of our country, and it has to be done. We've talked on this show multiple times after Trump got elected, even before Inauguration Day, that there's going to be some short-term pain along the way as you make these rapid and huge changes, but these are necessary changes that have to take place for us to move forward as a country and to be successful. And I'm here for it. Count me in. And P.S. Canadian bacon sucks anyways. I don't want anything to do with that. So it's funny because Canada announced yesterday that they are willing to drop their tariffs if America drops their tariffs. So all this big talk that they had, and they're already, and that's what a lot of this is going to do too, is going to do that. And then the last thing I'll say is some of this is a matter of national security. We saw with COVID, the whole COVID scam, but we saw the supply chain issues that our country faces during these times. And quite frankly, I'm not a fan of big pharma, but like the antibiotics, for instance, these things they're pretty important. Obviously, 90% of these are made in other countries. We've got to start being self-sustaining as a country and start making and producing more, manufacturing more things here in our country than what we currently are. And it's a matter of national security. And I believe President Trump has that in the back of his mind about the COVID situation and supply chains, and is using these tariffs as well to help bring some of those industries back to America as a way to secure our country moving forward.
Yeah, and that's something else people forget about. Is there are key items that are of strategic use to the U.S., like having a steel industry. We can't fight a war if we can't make our own machines, bullets, and everything else here within the country. And same thing with having pharmaceutical supplies, everything from masks and bandages to medication. We need to be able to make it here in case there is another, maybe a legitimate world pandemic this time. Maybe it's the plague or whatever else, something that's actually dangerous, not a fake COVID type lockdowns.
Well, Mike, imagine if China does invade Taiwan. Where are we getting our chips from?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if they don't conquer them yet, I mean, just from doing that, and that all shuts down, or they bomb those chip manufacturers. Where do we get our chips from? There's nowhere else to get them. I mean, they're not even thinking about those sorts of things, or you know what I mean? So like, this is truly a matter of national security to bring those things back here to the mainland and start making these things that are critical to the infrastructure and to the way of life here in America. Those things should be produced here in America, or at least a good enough portion of them that if something were to happen, that we could ramp up production and self-sustain ourselves out of it.
Exactly.
That should be a bare minimum.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, well, luckily, if China does invade Taiwan, part of their plan, the Taiwanese defense plan, is they'll melt down their chip factories just so China can't use them. But still, we'd have to be able to produce this here, like you said, or we can't get the military hardware we'd need to liberate Taiwan. Guys, we got to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and then we're going to get right back with Sabotage in the Senate.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Guys, thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the programs here on X America News is by supporting our sponsors. Go get yourself a set of MyPillows today. Support Mike Lindell. Support our program here and everything on X America News. I mean, you'll be supporting a patriot, getting yourself quality products that help keep jobs here in America, and help Mike in his battle for both free and fair elections, and hopefully to kick Tim Walz's ass and take over as governor in Minnesota. Well, you can't have too much good news. There's always got to be saboteurs in the background. Senate passes resolution to oppose Trump's tariffs on Canada. 4 GOP vote with Dems. Now, 3 of these, I'm not surprised at all. Rand Paul, on the other hand, sometimes it's a disappointment. I get that he doesn't like tariffs, doesn't think that they're good economic policy, but I don't know how he's going to argue again with these several 100% tariffs on numerous American products, and just the general trade imbalance. And then again, not to mention yet again that there's still NAFTA still technically in place, and they haven't met their obligations under NAFTA, I think, ever. Same with Mexico. But luckily this isn't going to go anywhere in the House. Speaker Johnson's already said they're not even going to bring it up for a vote, that it's dead on arrival. It doesn't have the support there it would need anyway to get through. And he basically reiterated that tariffs are clearly in Trump's purview of power. So I don't know why the Senate's getting involved in this anyway.
Well, and I've also got some other breaking news on that same regard. Republican Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa and Maria Cantwell, Democrat from the state of Washington, have filed bipartisan legislation that's to require congressional approval for all new tariffs within 60 days in response to President Trump. So, I mean, these saboteurs, if you will, are it's unbelievable, what's going on. Thankfully, President Trump, Mike Johnson knows he's only speaker because of President Trump, basically. And so luckily that has happened, and it's going to be, as you said, dead on arrival over in the House. But the fact that they're even doing this is unbelievable. Once again, none of them. And what's frustrating with me is, like, so Chuck Grassley, for instance, at least Rand Paul is consistent. He pushed back against Joe Biden he would push back regardless of who it is. So, like, I can disagree with him, but still respect him from a place of principle as to where he's coming from. I'm fine with that. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater like some people and get mad at somebody over one issue that I disagree with them on and say that they're, terrible senator. Rand Paul is awesome, and he's coming from a place of principle. I can see that. But like Chuck Grassley, like you did absolutely nothing to try to prevent any of the executive orders and such that Joe Biden was doing. And now all of a sudden you have an issue with tariffs of all the things. Like, that's what you're upset about. And it tells me that I would imagine that a lot of these people are somehow profiting from these manufacturing and these industries being in other countries. That's what I believe is happening. I believe that they're profiting from it in some way or another, and now they are fighting back against that, and trying to maintain their family's wealth, if you will.
Yeah, they're not directly profiting from it. Their lobbyists and donations from these large companies are going right into their pockets, or who knows? Maybe it's part of their stock trading strategy with all their insider knowledge, and this is interrupting it. But I wonder too, and I guess I'll have to do a little more research, that even if, let's pretend Mike Johnson buckles and somehow this passes, I would think this would be a setup for a constitutional fight, because tariffs would be normally considered part of Trump's direct power, because it's a foreign policy tool. It's not a direct tax on the American people. But then again, maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. But I would think this would set up a fight at the Supreme Court if they tried to curtail Trump's power for tariffs, since again it should be considered part of our foreign policy strategy.
I would agree with that. I mean, I don't know how they're twisting this in their head, if you will, but it's the uniparty alive and well, basically, is what that is. That's what it comes down to, and it's beyond sad. We're over here to give a shout out to Paul and Terry in the X chat over here. And really appreciate all you guys tuning in. So Kelly Song, what is Senator Grassley's problem? Yeah, I don't understand that either, especially considering that he represents the state of Iowa with a lot of farmers and farmland. The attorney general from the state of Iowa was just on the news this morning. I'm actually have that in my file to rip the video off of that to post later, where she was praising these tariffs and how it's going to be amazing for the farmers in the state of Iowa and everything. And so I don't understand where he's coming from, other than there has to be some thing that he is doing here to enrich himself in some way or another, or his family, or some sort of connection. And quite frankly, I think a lot of these people, even if it's not money, they like the idea that, or they hate the idea that somebody has taken that power away from them. Like, it is that stigma of, like, I'm the senator, I should be the one who makes these decisions, not the president, unless it's Joe Biden or the president's doing these sorts of things. And it's just further proof that the uniparty is alive and well right now. And we got to remember that we've got, everybody's looking at this in a 4-year term. We really have a 2-year term for President Trump guaranteed. until the midterms, and they are already slow rolling and attempting to run out the clock and get as little done or as little of the Trump agenda completed over the first 2 years. That is what I see happening right now behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, it's time for it to change. I think you're right. I think a lot of this is about they like the status quo. They want to continue doing things the way we have been. They don't like that all this is getting uncovered and exposed, and they certainly don't want Trump to be effective and accomplish some of his goals. Well, we also have this. We're going to change gears a little bit. Pollster Frank Luntz has absolute dumbest take on Cory Booker's air quote filibuster to nowhere. So yeah, let me just play this. You're going to laugh.
But are they energized in running in a circle and fighting with each other? Or are they energized in a direction?
They're going crazy right now. And they're going crazy because they don't see leadership in their own party. And I want to emphasize what Cory Booker did over the last 24 hours may have changed the course of political history. I watched a lot of it. I listened to words. I listened to phrases, how he presents himself. Did he criticize Donald Trump? Of course he did. But he struck the kind of tone that grassroots Democrats are looking for. He gave them a reason to fight. He gave them a reason to stand up and say, this is my country too. Of course, every Republican watching will say, this is nonsense. But he's not speaking just to Republicans. He's speaking to Americans. And what I saw over the last 25 hours absolutely blew me away. And just as you sometimes make projections or predictions, I'm going to do one right here. That speech puts Cory Booker as one of the leaders for the Democratic Party, 2028, and I'll go even further. If you ask Democratic senators right now who they'd rather have lead them over the next 3 years, they would choose Cory Booker over Chuck Schumer.
Well, I believe the last part, but yeah, I don't know that bug-eyed freak's going to be assuming a role of leadership, a real role of leadership in the Democrat Party anytime soon. I mean, I think most of their moonbats are going to forget about this in the next 72 hours.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, there was nothing about that changed the course of the country or anything historical about it, other than it was the longest rant ever on the Senate floor. That was the only historical thing that happened from that whole thing. And I still sit here and wonder, was he wearing a diaper? Like, did he just not use the bathroom for 24 hours? I mean, that's pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie. But he is correct though, man, in that we have to look at this through a different lens. So we're looking at this through a lens of common sense, through a conservative lens, and he accomplished nothing throughout that entire ordeal. But you got to look at this from the standpoint of these left-wing extremists who can be convinced to go burn down Tesla dealerships and throw their entire lives away over that, or beat people up just for driving a Tesla. Those people absolutely love what he just did and think that was like the most amazing thing ever. And he made this huge sacrifice, and he stood and fought for democracy. I mean, to those people, he might as well be given the Medal of Honor, if you will. I mean, he's a hero to these people, and that is scary for sure. And so I have to agree in the sense that there's at least a large part of that base who is now in the extremist base who would definitely support Cory Booker running for president or something like that in the future, which is even a scary thought to even think about. But that party is crazy right now, and so that they don't need anything other than somebody who makes them feel good, and so they're over screaming, do something. Well, he did nothing, but he looks like he did something, and to them, that's all they care about, is that it looks like somebody did something.
Well, you may be right, but I don't know. I think this 24-hour TDS marathon, it wasn't far enough for a lot of the extremists on the left that are burning down the Tesla dealerships and everything else. That, yeah, he ranted and raved and he made up a lot of things, pretended that somehow Trump's going to like magically gut Medicare and whatever else he said. But, I think that pushes away the middle again, because he just looks like a raving lunatic, especially if you watch towards the end of there where his eyes are really bugged out like he's a meth addict. But I just don't think he hit the point. He didn't have enough like direct calls for violence or anything else to really connect with the muscle the Dems have out there right now in the street, terrorizing neighborhoods, Tesla dealerships, and cities. Now, maybe you're right. Maybe it will connect with more of the couch potato class of the Democrat Party, but with the way their polling's continuing to fall, I just don't think this did accomplish anything positive for them. Maybe they energized a few of them, get them to get off the couch, crawl out of their mom's basement, put on their big boy clothes, and go outside and do something. But I just don't know that it really connected the way he hoped it would.
Well, I agree with that. I'll tell you something I saw that was funny is Rand Paul put out a tweet. He was around hour 20, something like that, and he said, as Cory Booker is reaching my record for the longest, thing on the Senate floor, he said, I'm very tempted to go pull the fire alarm. And he had a picture of the congressman who pulled the fire alarm.
Jamal Bowman.
Yeah, he had a picture of that on there and said that he's very tempted to go pull the fire alarm to save his record, if you will. But it is frustrating though, and I'll say this, and this is how I'm looking at it. And I despise everything that Cory Booker stands for, at least everything that I'm aware that he stands for. Anyways, everything that I know about the guy, I can't stand him. But this is the type of stuff that I was looking for between Election Day and Inauguration Day, when Joe Biden rammed through over 250 left-wing extremist activist judges through the system. And we're over here saying, why are Republicans just allowing this to happen and they're not doing anything about it? We couldn't stop all of them, but they could have slowed that process down to a halt, and to where there was 50 or even 100 of them who got rammed through instead of 250 plus. And this is what I'm talking about, though, when I say things of, I despise the left, but I actually admire the fact that they are more aggressive and willing to fight for what they believe in more so than Republicans, even if it's something stupid such as that. We need people on the who elected in the conservative movement who are willing to fight back through parliamentary procedures and understand the rules. And so what people do need to understand is that he did waste an entire day in the Senate. He didn't accomplish anything else, but guess what? Nothing got done in the Senate during that 24-hour period. And so had we had people who would have done that, we could have really slowed down those judges. And that's what I mean. And that's what's frustrating to me. And I think that is where we are still in this in-between phase of the Republican Party. We have these country club Republicans who want to sit back and sip tea and just kick their feet up and sing Kumbaya with everybody. I don't. To be honest with you, I want some pissed off patriots who are going to go in there and it's time to, if you have to, throw some punches in there. And that's where we're at right now. You cannot coexist with these people who hate us and are trying to destroy our country right now. Don't go sip tea with them and sing Kumbaya. It's time to start fighting back, whether that's through parliamentary procedures, whether that's taking the floor for the not now because we're in control. Now we should be doing the opposite. And instead, you've got Anna Paulina Luna. I think that's where we're covering a little bit. We're shooting ourselves in the feet right now. This is not the time to do that. You do that when you're in the minority. And when we do things opposite, we choose the dumbest fights and the dumbest battles when we're in the majority. And to be honest with you, it's the uniparty all at work, and that's what it has to come down to. But that's what's frustrating to me is the U.S. House is out for the next week right now over some stupid, petty little thing. And they did nothing like that during the time that Joe Biden was, for instance. We'll forget before the election. Let's just talk post-election when they rammed through all those judges as a lame duck president, and they did nothing to try to stop it. That's what's frustrating to me.
Yeah, agreed. We need some real fighters. And people that are strategic and will pick battles we can win, and pick fights that need to happen. We need to exploit parliamentary rules and other things like the left does. We need to fight back with at least their veracity, and we've got to do that when we are out of power. Now, I really do wonder if the left will ever be back in power, but if they don't start acting soon, that's going to create an opportunity for the Democrats to gain back some of the votes that they've lost and support they've lost, if they can ever find their sanity again. I got one last story I want to cover before we run out to break here. The Doge impact. Federal government layoffs dominate biggest March job losses in 36 years. Now, this chart looks really bad. But what's interesting about this, and I think we covered this yesterday, is at the same time we had these massive job losses from Doge cutting useless federal workers. We had so much private sector job growth that actually offset it, and we had an increase in overall employment last month. So again, that shows you the engine, the fire that's being stoked by Trump right now, and the rest of his officials and appointees, and what's really going to be unleashed on the American economy over the next 3 to 6 months.
Federal employees could not have asked for a better time to be fired in America, because there are a lot of job opportunities now, thanks to President Trump, thanks to the tariffs, thanks to all those sorts of things. And quite frankly, Joe Biden, all of his numbers are fake, because they count a lot of people just going back to work post-COVID as a job created. But even outside of that, we know that they really ramped up the federal jobs. They doubled the workforce at the VA, for instance, tens and tens of thousands of jobs. And so it was all just fake. It wasn't private sector jobs that like we're bringing in now, which is actually how you boost the economy. And so as a federal employee who's whining and crying around right now, you could not have asked for a better time to have lost your job, because all of these companies are hiring. They're ramping up production. There's more companies moving into our country. You can get a job now if you want to get one. And so count your blessings on that. I mean, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and remember, leftists, we're still going to need somebody to pick our crops, and that's a good opportunity for you to get out of your mom's basement and get some sunshine. Guys, we got to take one more quick break, hear from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with even more.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you got to do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support the insurrection and all the great programs here on X American News is by supporting our sponsors. Go to lutfstudios.com, buy yourself a unique, handmade, one-of-a-kind piece of artwork from Annie Cyrus. She's one of our producers over here. She's a great program you can catch as well called Live Up to Freedom. And then you'll see her and I back at it again on He Said, She Said on Wednesdays again here soon, once I'm not going to have an eye surgery every other week or flying out of the country. But again, this is what makes it possible for us to bring you the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. So please support our sponsors and get your family a piece of heirloom quality art that you'll pass down to future generations. All right, guys, I want to get into this election news because we've had a lot of this pop up, but we haven't really done the best job covering it, and we're going to try to do a little better there. 3 GOP states find 300,000 bad voter registrations, along with hundreds of non-citizens registered to vote. And this is just the start. They're starting to look through voter rolls. They're starting to look for irregularities. And I know Doge is going to start getting involved in some of this here soon, or people from there, and helping them locate illegal aliens voting, people that don't exist, a number of other problems. I mean, we've discussed it, especially with certain states, just how bad the voter rolls are and how many people are illicitly voting.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a major thing. Obviously, is cleaning up these elections. It's going to be huge. And another thing that not a lot of, kind of in the same category here, not a lot of people are talking about is these deportations are going to change the census as well, which changed the representation. And President Trump tried to get that fixed the last time. I know we got a little ways off, and he won't be the president again. But I'm hoping that in the coming months or over the next year, he starts that process as well. To where these illegals are not able to be counted in the census, at least in terms of representation in Congress. That is a huge, huge difference in the Electoral College and certain states getting congressional representation, all of that. But yeah, cleaning up these voter rolls is going to be huge. I'm hoping that we can get some of these things passed at the federal level now that we have control of the House and the Senate. It should be a very simple thing to do. I mean, even Wisconsin, enshrined voter ID in their photo voter ID, I might add. And we need that across the entire country, and really just codify some of these things, these executive orders that President Trump has made, make that officially into law at the federal level while we have the opportunity to do so. If we don't do that over the next year and a half at this point, then it's probably never going to happen, and Republicans are going to be the ones who's going to be responsible for that moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And this is another thing we need is prosecution. Courageous Michigan Speaker Pro Tem Smith, we're serious about looking into the fraud and investigating here in Michigan. What's the status of the FBI's investigation into GBI Strategies' massive voter registration fraud? So we do have an update on this. So it appears, even though their Secretary of State in Michigan promised to refer this over to the FBI, apparently it was never done, or it appears to have never been done. But the FBI is going to be getting involved now, looking into this, because GBI Strategies, if you'll remember, this is where they found numerous hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of fraudulent voter registrations. They found a bunch of weapons, silencers, all kinds of other stuff in their office. And it wasn't just in Michigan. I know this, they're looking into them here in Ohio as well, and I believe in Pennsylvania and other states. But this was a huge voter fraud operation. It needs to be taken down, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's numerous other ones. We also need to go back and look into where other laws were broken during the 2020 and 2022 election cycles, and put an end to it. I mean, this is just the start, just the tip of the iceberg, and I think we're going to see a lot more coming soon. So let me just go ahead and pull our next headline in this series as well. Must see. Elon Musk confirms widespread voter fraud as millions of non-citizens get access to Social Security, Medicaid, and the ballot box. Millions referred to DHS for illegal voting prosecution. Millions. So this is just starting to heat up, and it sounds like DHS is going to be investigating and arresting a lot of these people. We can now cross-reference the Social Security numbers and other things and determine if illegal aliens, not if, but how many illegal aliens were voting, and then prosecute them and deport them.
Absolutely. Well, really quick shout out to Chris Raquella over here, and sorry if I said your last name wrong, and Cole in the X chat. Really appreciate you guys for being here. Yeah, so the left is attempting to say that this is all, fake news. This is not real. I actually posted a video. It was either yesterday or the day before. I posted a video of a video compilation of illegals who were interviewed. I remember James O'Keefe and some of them were going around back a year or so ago interviewing these people, and they were all openly admitting that they had received Social Security numbers, were getting all these benefits. And so, like, it's out of the mouths of the illegals admitting this. So I don't know how the left can pretend that this is not happening when they're actually on camera admitting that this is happening, and they were living in the housing and all this. So it's unbelievable what is going on. And then you have Jasmine Crockett, who actually spoke out and said that people should be happy that the illegals are here because they're paying taxes into Social Security that they'll never benefit from, and tried to spin this as a way of the American people are actually benefiting from illegals being here because they're paying taxes into something that they're never going to receive, sort of thing. And I was, you can't even make this up right now, that they're embracing that and trying to gaslight us, insult our intelligence into thinking and believing that it's actually a good thing that these people are here and working or whatever. You can leave, you can come back to legal in the proper way, and we'll accept you here if you come the correct way. I've never once seen any person, any conservative especially, I've never seen a single conservative who was protesting at the location where people are being sworn in as U.S. citizens after going through the legal process. I've never once heard of anybody even suggest doing that. Instead, anytime that I see someone post on social media that says, I came from this country, I'm just sworn in today as an American citizen, I came here the legal proper way, it goes viral. People are like, thank you for coming here the right way, welcome to our country, thank you for coming here, thank you. And that just goes to show that we have no problem with legal immigration. Just come here the right way, in the correct way. And I can also say that while admitting that I understand. I see people all the time talking about, man, I'd love to win the Powerball or the Mega Millions or whatever. We already hit the lottery just by being born in this country. 100%. Yes. I know that. I accept that. I appreciate that. And I think more Americans need to accept, to appreciate how lucky and fortunate we are to have been born here in the first place.
Oh, agreed. And yeah, I have trouble believing the little pittance that some illegal aliens may be paying in federal income tax does anything to offset the massive amount of tax fraud that we know goes on with illegal aliens, from everything from claiming what's it called, earned income credit, claiming multiple kids they don't have, just making up Social Security numbers, sending remittance back to their home countries, all the benefits that they receive, and everything else. So yeah, Jasmine Crockett, we already knew she's out of her mind. It's not even that. She's just dishonest. She's just a straight up liar. And unfortunately, this is par for the course, because there's nobody in our media with the cojones to actually call her or anyone else out on the left to question these statements when they make them, to make them justify it with some kind of fact and not just their feelings and their insane interpretations. It's a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie. That's not going to change anytime soon. But, speaking of lies, we've got this to cover too. Leaked FBI chat logs expose agency's coordinated effort to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. Like, this gets even sicker the more information we find out about it, because there were some FBI agents that didn't get the memo that they were supposed to lie about the Biden laptop being a disinformation, or it came from Russian trolls, or whatever lie they were going with, that they told Twitter the truth when asked. They were like, oh no, this story is legitimate. And then they were trying to figure out ways to reprimand them, or basically retaliate consequences for telling Twitter the truth and not going along with suppressing the facts to influence the election.
Dude, the Twitter files is still crazy to me. I mean, it really is. It really, like you said, they openly admitted, oh no, this is real, but you need to suppress it. It's like, and that's also when they coined that phrase, malinformation. Yes, so it's real information, but it is dangerous for the people to know that. It was all surrounding the COVID stuff. They're like, no, it's not misinformation because it's true, but we don't want the people to know this. So they labeled it as malinformation. It's unbelievable that was happening. But yeah, the Signal chat with that being exposed is a big deal. And there needs to be congressional hearings on a lot of these things. But it's hard to do that when our Congress is taking 2 to 3 week vacations every single month. At this point, it's hard to get anything accomplished. So my frustration is turning to two things. Number one, I want to see arrests. I want to see arrests of these sanctuary governors and sanctuary mayors and these judges who are out here, these activist judges who are aiding and abetting foreign invaders of our country. I want to see those people arrested. And then my frustration is turning to the Republicans who are, let's just pretend that they're not undermining President Trump. Okay, let's just pretend that for a second. At the very least, they are being lazy compared to President Trump in terms of saving our country. President Trump has hit the ground running. His entire team has. They are working around the clock. They're doing, busting their butts doing this. And Congress is just going along as business as usual. Anybody who wanted to run at this time especially should have already just known, like, hey, I'm kissing my family goodbye. I'll see you when I see you. We've got a country to save. Luckily, we live in a world of technology. I'll FaceTime you when I get some time. But we're living in D.C. 24/7, 365 until we get these things accomplished, and then we'll take us a little break. That is the mentality that they should have had, and we don't have that right now. So it's just, I want some urgency, I guess is the word I'm looking for, from our Republican-controlled Congress and Senate right now to work as hard as President Trump is to save our country.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see some of these people step up, get off their lazy asses, and start doing something. You can accomplish a lot in a very little time with minimal effort right now. I mean, look at this. I mean, look how much Elon Musk has done, and he's not even in elected office right now. I hope they see this segment. Elon Musk reveals he and the Trump team have identified the generals orchestrating the violent Tesla attacks. Let me go ahead and play this video for you guys here real quick.
and Attorney General Bondi has said the same thing. I believe that is exactly what will happen.
Do you know who they are?
We're coming for them.
Do you know who those generals are?
We know. We do.
Yes. And hopefully the prosecution will be for RICO and an organized criminal enterprise, which makes the penalties even more serious. And now to Jessica.
Yes, absolutely. These are serious crimes where the organizers and pushers of mass violence will go to prison for a very long time.
That's right. Okay.
And I hope they see this segment.
Well, we'll play it again.
That's right. Well, we need to dismantle the modern terrorist wing of the Democrat Party through all these little entities and organizations that are funded from Soros and many others. And it's time to arrest the people at the top that are actually coordinating it as far up the chain as we possibly can. But bankrupting and dismantling these organizations will do a huge amount of damage to their general apparatus, but it'll also protect Americans across every city in the country and protect the Tesla owners, the other victims of leftist terrorism.
Absolutely. And these people who are this is terrorism. This is RICO. Yeah. This is all of those things that's going on. And I hope that what we're seeing right now is they're building a case for the people orchestrating it as much as they are. The thing is, they're already arresting some of these lower level people, the people who are actually committing these acts of violence and such. Man, they're going to sing like a little bird in terms of all the meetings they've went to, and they're going to go through those people's electronic devices. They're going to find, where, because this is organized. There might be a few random ones here and there who've seen it happening and just walking by them like, oh my God, there's a Tesla. I'm sure there's a few of those, but by and large, this is 100% organized criminal enterprise. And I believe has direct ties to the DNC as well. And so they need to be investigating all of this, holding these people accountable. I cannot wait for the perp walks to start.
Yeah. Well, I think this is going to take out a lot of their key funders and fundraisers too. Musk and others have already said that this goes. Oh, I just blanked on his name. Goes all the way up to who's the founder of LinkedIn. They always talk about one of the big DNC donors. Sorry, it's on the tip of my tongue, guys. But apparently they have direct connections to him all the way up, basically giving the marching orders to be disseminated out through his organizations that he's funding. And if that's the case, well, I guess he can get a cell next to the guy that shot up the Tesla dealership or firebombed the other Tesla dealership, or maybe one of these other leftists that are attacking conservatives in the streets. Because again, the violence on the left is just totally out of control. Something needs to be done to stop it. We can't have another summer of love where they're rioting and burning down cities across the country because they're mad. Their piggy bank at USAID and the Treasury and wherever else got shut down. The only way their operation succeeds is with our money. So Congress, get your act together and end that. We need it in writing so this doesn't happen again. It can't be in the next budget bill. It's time to put a stop to this and then put legislation in place to prevent this from ever happening again. We can't have this. We just talked about the corruption within the FBI. People wonder why we're firing all these people in the federal government right now. That's because most of it is weaponized against more than half of the country, and it's time to put an end to that at the government level and in the private level.
Absolutely, and shout out to Born to Rumble. It's in the Rumble chat. Reed Hoffman is the name you were looking for. Yes, so thank you for that, Born to Rumble. But yeah, I mean it's exactly correct. And look, I'm with everybody in the chats right now. I'll believe the arrest when I see it in the Getter chats and X chats and all that. I'm with you guys 100%. Just for the record. And Sean's over here in the Getter chat saying we need Nuremberg trials. I agree with that as well. And then I think what Obliviously is saying is, talking about what kind of pronouns they're going to use when they get arrested, which is hilarious. But look, I'm with all you guys. I'm as frustrated as anyone else. At the same time, I'm trying to tell myself it's not even been 3 months that they've been in actual office. There has been a lot accomplished, not in the arrest department that we're looking for, but there's been a lot in terms of the tariffs, the economy, Doge, discovering a lot of different things. And so cutting a lot of massive cuts. I would argue that we haven't seen this much action radical. I use radical loosely here in terms. I'm using it as from one extreme to the other sort of thing. We haven't seen this much change so quickly in hundreds of years in our country's history. This is absolutely fascinating. And I'm speaking even to myself on this. We need to kind of take a little bit of break to enjoy living through this moment right now. This is an amazing moment in our country's history to live through, and I know it's easy to get caught up in it. We need to enjoy this a little bit as well, and I need to do that as well.
Yeah, but you guys are right. Like, I'm tired of seeing just the ground pounding guerrillas get arrested. It's time for something at the top. Time for some real action, some stuff that'll, make the mainstream media apoplectic because we're pulling their major pieces off the board and putting them behind bars for 20 years to life for facilitating a lot of this. I'm done waiting around. We need to see something very soon. I understand that with some of these, it's going to take time to build the case and do everything else. But I also think Musk is right. RICO charges, we got to fight back at least as hard as they did, use the same tools they did, and then they can just cry about it. But guys, thank you again for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow.